The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Intro. Hey, friend, have you ever wondered why people, even smart ones, make poor financial decisions? It's not always about numbers. It's about psychology. It's about behavior. Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money, is a gentle reminder that wealth isn't just built with logic. It's built with emotion, patience, and understanding. This book isn't just about money. It's about life. Let's go through it together. Chapter 1. No one's crazy. Everyone sees money differently. We all come from different backgrounds, different parents, different life experiences. Someone who grew up in poverty sees risk differently than someone who grew up rich. So what seems smart to you might look foolish to someone else. And that's okay. No one's crazy. We just see the world through our own lens. Chapter 1. No one's crazy. Money is deeply personal. Everyone sees it differently. Everyone feels it differently. And no two people will ever have the exact same view about it. Why? Because we all have different pasts, different childhoods, different experiences with success, and different scars from failure. For some of us, money was always tight. We saw stress on our parents' faces. We saw arguments over bills. And that shaped us. It made us fear poverty. So we cling to every rupee. We save more than we need, even when we can afford to spend. For others, money was always there. They never saw scarcity. They felt safe. They never had to worry about rent or food. So for them, risk feels different. They might take bigger chances because they've never been burned. That's what Morgan Housel wants us to understand. People make decisions with money. Not just with logic, but with memory, with emotion, with wounds they don't talk about, and with stories they tell themselves. Some might invest aggressively. Others keep all their savings in cash. Neither is crazy. They're just doing what feels right, based on where they've been. Housel gives a beautiful example. He says, imagine two people. One grew up during the Great Depression. The other during a booming economy. Will they ever see the stock market the same way? No. The one who saw collapse will always be cautious. The one who only saw growth will feel confident. Same world, different eyes, different lessons. We're not robots. We don't make decisions based on perfect spreadsheets. We make them based on what we've lived. And sometimes, what we fear. That's why judgment is dangerous. Don't call someone foolish just because their money behavior doesn't match yours. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're healing. Maybe they've never had a reason to trust the system. And maybe they've just lived a different life. You and I, we have our reasons. And so do they. So instead of judging others, let's try to understand them. Let's be kind. Let's be curious. Because when it comes to money, no one's crazy. They're just human. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. You might work hard. You might be smart. But luck still plays a part. So does risk. Bill Gates became a billionaire. But what if he hadn't gone to that one high school with a computer? Success is never only about effort. And failure is not always your fault. Be kind to yourself. And be kind to others. You don't know the whole story. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. We love to believe in effort. We want to think success is earned. That hard work always pays off. That smart people always win. But life isn't that fair. And money definitely isn't. There's something else at play. Something we often ignore. Luck. And its opposite, risk. Let's talk about Bill Gates. One of the richest men in the world. Yes, he's brilliant. Yes, he worked hard. But here's what most people don't know. He was one of the only teenagers in the 1970s who had access to a computer. Out of thousands of schools in America, only one school had the kind of advanced system that could build a mind like Gates. And guess what? That was his school. That's luck. What if Bill Gates had gone to a regular school? Would he still have built Microsoft? Maybe. Maybe not. We don't know. Because life isn't just about effort. It's also about being in the right place. At the right time. Surrounded by the right people. And exposed to the right opportunities. Now let's flip the coin. Let's talk about risk. Imagine someone who made all the right moves. Smart decisions. Hard work. Careful planning. But then something terrible happens. A recession. A health crisis. An accident. And they lose everything. Was that their fault? No. It was risk. Sometimes, no matter how well you plan, life doesn't go your way. And that's the painful truth. Morgan Housel tells us something powerful. Be careful when you judge others. Don't always assume success means someone was smarter. And don't assume failure means they were foolish. Sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it's just risk. And both are invisible, which makes them even harder to understand. So how should we live? Should we just give up and leave everything to chance? No, my friend, not at all. We still plan. We still work hard. But we stay humble. We stay aware. We accept that we don't control everything. That others might be suffering silently. And that our own success may have roots in fortune. Housel shares this lesson. Focus less on individuals. Focus more on patterns. Look for behaviors that repeat. That last. That survive through time. Because a single story, whether of greatness or disaster, might be shaped more by luck than wisdom. But behaviors like patience, discipline, humility, consistency, those are real. Those are things we can copy. Things we can build. So the next time you look at someone successful, don't just admire their result. Understand their journey. And remember, luck helped, risk haunted, and in between those two, they just kept walking. Chapter 3 Never Enough. Money can become a trap. You earn more, but still feel like it's not enough. Comparison kills peace. There's always someone richer, more successful. But ask yourself this, at what cost? Know when enough is enough. Because chasing more can make you lose everything. Chapter 3 Never Enough. Imagine this. You work hard, you save, you invest, and then, you win. You finally have more than you ever dreamed of. But still, something feels missing. You don't stop, you keep going. You want more. Why? Because somewhere deep down, you've convinced yourself it's not enough. Morgan Housel tells us about a man. His name was Rajat Gupta. He was once at the top of the world. He went from poverty in India to becoming the CEO of McKinsey. He was respected, admired, rich, really rich. But one day he made a choice. He crossed a line. He got involved in insider trading. Risked everything. Why? Because someone else had more. And he wanted it too. He couldn't stop, even when he already had enough. And what happened? He lost everything. Respect, freedom, peace, gone. Just like that. Housel asks, what makes people like Rajat fall? Is it stupidity? No, it's that silent, sneaky voice in the back of your mind. The one that whispers, you deserve more. You are falling behind. Look at him, look at her, they have more than you. And slowly, greed begins to poison your peace. There's a quote in this chapter that breaks your heart. Some people can't stop playing the game even after they've already won. Think about that. Imagine winning. Imagine standing at the top and still not feeling satisfied. That's the danger. That's the trap. Because if you never define what enough means to you, then nothing will ever satisfy you. Not a bigger house, not more cars, not more followers, not more money. It will always feel like something is missing. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're falling until it's too late. So what's the solution? How do we protect ourselves from this never-ending hunger? It starts with one powerful decision. You must decide what is enough for you. And hold on to that with both hands. Don't let the world define it for you. Not Instagram, not your neighbor, not society. You define it. You decide when to stop. Because peace doesn't come from having more. It comes from being okay with what you already have. It comes from gratitude, from contentment, from knowing that your self-worth isn't tied to your net worth. There will always be someone ahead of you, and always someone behind. But life is not a race. And wealth is not a scoreboard. You're not here to beat others. You're here to live your truth. To sleep peacefully, to love fully, to breathe freely. And for that, you need enough. Not everything, just enough. Chapter 4 Confounding Compounding. Big things often come from small things done consistently. Compounding is magic. It's slow, it's quiet, but it's powerful. Warren Buffett made most of his money after his 50s. Not because of high returns, but because he stayed invested for decades. Time is your best friend. Start small, but start now. Chapter 4 Confounding Compounding. Let me ask you something. What if I told you the most powerful force in wealth building is not intelligence, not luck, not even income. It's time and patience. And the quiet power of compounding. We all know about compounding. But most of us don't truly feel it. Not in our bones. We underestimate how magical it is. Because its impact is invisible at first. It's slow, it's boring, it doesn't give instant results. So we ignore it. But that's the mistake. That's the trap. Morgan Housel gives the example of Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in history. People say he's a genius investor. And he is. But here's the truth most people miss. Buffett didn't earn most of his wealth because he had the best returns. He earned it because he started investing at age 10. And didn't stop, even at age 90. That's 80 years of compounding. That's the real secret. It wasn't a superpower. It was patience. Most people want quick wins. They want to double their money fast. But compounding doesn't work like that. It grows like a tree. You don't see anything at first. Then one day, it surprises you. One small decision, one small saving habit, done over and over, becomes something huge, almost magical. That's why compounding is confounding. Because it's hard to believe that something so small can become something so massive. But it does. And here's the emotional truth. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Start early, start small, and then stay consistent. Even if you fall, even if you slow down. Just keep going. Because time is doing the heavy lifting for you. Most people give up too early. They dig for treasure, but stop inches before striking gold. You don't need to be the smartest or the boldest. You just need to be the most patient. Let compounding do what it does best. Quietly, slowly, silently. Then one day, you'll wake up and smile. Because your money has grown like a forest. And all you did was give it time. Chapter 5 Getting Wealthy vs Staying Wealthy. Getting rich and staying rich are two different skills. Getting rich needs courage, risk-taking, boldness. But staying rich, it needs humility, caution, and fear of losing. Protect your wealth. Don't let ego drive your choices. Be reasonable, not greedy. Chapter 5 Getting Wealthy vs Staying Wealthy. You've seen it, haven't you? People who make it big, earn a fortune, rise like stars, and then lose it all. Gone. Just like that. Why does this happen? How can someone smart enough to get rich not be smart enough to stay rich? Morgan Housel tells us. Because getting money and keeping it are two very different skills. Getting rich needs bravery. It needs risk-taking. It needs a willingness to bet big, to move fast, to believe in yourself. But staying rich, that needs something else. Something softer, something deeper. It needs humility and fear. Fear of losing. Fear of what you can't see coming. Fear that reminds you, this could all disappear. You don't need to be paranoid. But you need to respect risk. Because life is unpredictable. Markets crash. Businesses fail. Luck runs out. And no one is invincible. So how do you stay wealthy? Not by chasing every shiny new thing. Not by doubling down on every bet. You stay wealthy by being boring. By being consistent. By making fewer mistakes. By saying no more often than yes. By protecting what you already have. You stay wealthy by surviving. That's the word Housel uses. Survival. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. But it's everything. Because if you can survive, you get to stay in the game. And if you stay in the game long enough, the game will reward you. Maybe not today. Maybe not this year. But over time. Absolutely. Here's something that touched me. Morgan says, compounding only works if you give an asset years and years to grow. And that only happens if you survive every storm. That means you don't need to be aggressive. You need to be resilient. You don't need to be flashy. You need to be quietly consistent. You don't need to chase more. You need to protect what you already have. And yes, that requires saying something most people never say. I have enough. It takes strength to walk away from more. To step back. To slow down. But in that space, you find peace. So remember this, friend. Getting rich is loud. But staying rich is quiet. Getting rich is fast. Staying rich is slow. Getting rich is about making money. Staying rich is about keeping peace. And in the end, keeping peace is the greatest wealth of all. Chapter 6 Tales, you win. A few big wins make all the difference. Not everything you try will succeed. And that's okay. In investing and in life, most things may not work. But some will. Those few successes, they'll be worth everything. So keep going, because you only need a few tails to win. Chapter 6 Tails, you win. In life, not everything works. You try, you give your best, you plan carefully, but still many things don't succeed. And that's okay, because that's how life works. Most things don't work, but the ones that do change everything. Morgan Housel calls these wins tails. Like the tail end of a coin flip. They're rare, but powerful. They're the big outcomes, the game changers, the breakthroughs, the home runs. He says, in investing, in business, and even in personal life, a few tail events account for most of the results. And those few wins cover up for all the failures. Let that sink in. You don't need to get it right every time. You don't need to succeed every day. You just need a few things to go very, very right. And they will carry you. They will lift your entire journey. Think of a company like Amazon. Jeff Bezos started many experiments. Some worked, most didn't. But the ones that worked, they really worked. They were tails. And those tails paid for the rest. Same goes for investors. Even Warren Buffett, a huge portion of his lifetime returns came from just a few great investments. Not dozens, just a handful. Those rare winners made all the difference. And that's the secret. You don't need to be right all the time. You just need to stick around long enough. For the tails to show up. But here's the emotional part. You need to be okay with failure. You need to keep going. Even when things don't work. Because you never know which attempt is the one that changes your life. Most people quit too early. Because they expect every effort to succeed. But success doesn't work that way. It's uneven, unpredictable, surprising. So you try, you learn, you fall, you try again, and again, until one day, that tail shows up, and it changes everything. So remember, my friend, don't be afraid of trying. Don't be afraid of losses. Failures are part of the journey. They're the cost of chasing something great. And all you need is for one tail to win. Chapter 7 Freedom. The highest form of wealth isn't a big house or a fancy car. It's freedom. Waking up and doing what you want, when you want, with people you love. That's real wealth. It's not about impressing others. It's about inner peace and control over your time. Chapter 7 Freedom. Let me ask you something. What do you really want from money? Is it a car, a bigger house, luxury vacations, fancy clothes? Maybe. But if we go deeper, if we dig into the core of every desire, we'll find something else, something quieter, something more powerful. Freedom. The ability to wake up in the morning and do whatever you want, with whoever you want, whenever you want. That's freedom. And that is the highest form of wealth. Morgan Housel says it beautifully. Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. Think about that. You could earn millions. But if someone else controls your calendar, your peace, your energy, then are you really rich? Or are you just a prisoner in a prettier cage? The truth is, we don't want money. We want what money can give us. Peace, choices, space, time with loved ones, moments without rush, days without alarms, work that feels like play. That's the dream. That's freedom. And you know what? You don't need to be a millionaire to get it. You don't need to retire with crores in the bank. Sometimes, all you need to do is spend less than you earn. Save, invest, avoid debt, and most importantly, avoid lifestyle inflation. Because the more expensive your life becomes, the more you lose your freedom. You end up working just to keep up, just to maintain the image. And slowly, your time slips away, your peace slips away, your smile fades. But when you live below your means, when you value time more than things, you unlock something rare. You wake up one morning, and you breathe, not because it's a holiday, but because it's just a normal day. And you get to live it your way. No boss rushing you, no alarm screaming, just space, stillness, and freedom. Morgan reminds us, people often trade their freedom for stuff. A bigger car, a bigger loan, a bigger job title. But what if, instead of chasing more, you chose to chase less? Less pressure, less clutter, less noise, and more life. Real life. The kind that's measured in memories, in laughter, in long walks, in peaceful mornings. That, my friend, is true wealth. Not how much you have, but how much of your time belongs to you. Chapter 8 Man in the Car Paradox. We buy things to impress others. But most people don't care. You see someone in a luxury car. You don't think, wow, what a great person. You think, wow, what a nice car. People admire the car, not the driver. Chasing respect by spending money rarely works. Be known for who you are, not what you have. Chapter 8 The Man in the Car Paradox. Have you ever seen someone drive past you in a shiny, luxurious car? Maybe a BMW, maybe a Ferrari, and for a second, you think, wow, that guy must be rich. You admire the car, you admire the lifestyle, but here's what you probably didn't think. Wow, I admire the person driving it. Right, because most of us don't. We don't even see the person. We see the car, we think about how it would feel if we had it. We imagine ourselves in it. And here's the truth, that person driving it might have bought that car to impress you, to be seen, to feel respected. But the paradox is, the admiration doesn't go to them. It goes to the car, not the driver. That's the man in the car paradox. Morgan Housel explains it simply. People want to be admired, but admiration rarely flows to the one seeking it. It flows to the object, to the lifestyle, to the dream, but not the person. And that's where the heartbreak is. Because many of us chase wealth. Not for peace, not for time, but for recognition, to be seen, to be respected, to hear people say, wow, you've made it. But they rarely say that. Most are too busy comparing, or imagining what it would feel like, if they had what you have. So here's the deeper lesson. Respect can't be bought, not with cars, not with watches, not with big houses. It's earned quietly, through humility, through kindness, through truth. People admire those who uplift others, who listen, who stay grounded, not those who only display success. And here's something beautiful, Morgan writes. The irony is that people tend to want wealth to signal to others that they should be liked and admired. But in reality, those other people often bypass the person entirely. Let that sink in. So the next time you feel tempted to buy something flashy, to prove something to the world, to show them you've arrived, ask yourself, is it admiration I want? Or connection? Because admiration fades. But connection, that stays, that heals, that fills the soul. And no car can buy that. Chapter 9 Wealth is what you don't see. You see someone spending a lot. That's not wealth, that's spending. Real wealth is hidden. It's the money you don't spend. The savings, the investments, the quiet sacrifices. Wealth is what you don't see. And maybe never show. Chapter 9 Wealth is what you don't see. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine someone driving a Lamborghini, wearing a designer watch, living in a house that looks like a palace. You might think, wow, they must be rich. But Morgan Housel gently taps your shoulder and says, maybe not, because what you are seeing isn't wealth, it's spending, it's consumption, it's what's already gone. Let that sink in. Wealth is not what you see. Wealth is what you don't see. You don't see the savings. You don't see the investments. You don't see the quiet sacrifices someone made. You don't see the financial cushion. Because real wealth is invisible. It's stored, not shown. Wealth is the money you didn't spend. It's the car you didn't buy. The vacation you skipped. The fancy dinner you passed on. And instead, you saved. You invested. You let it grow. That's wealth. But here's the problem. We live in a world where spending is praised. Where flashing things is admired. Where showing off is mistaken for success. And so, many people feel pressure to look rich instead of being rich. But trying to look rich can stop you from actually becoming rich. That's the trap. That's the lie we are sold. Morgan says, when most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they might actually mean is I'd like to spend $1 million. Which is literally the opposite of being a millionaire. Isn't that powerful? So the next time you see someone with luxury, pause. Don't assume they're wealthy. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors. They may be drowning in debt, or living paycheck to paycheck. But you can choose a different path. A quieter one, a deeper one. You can build real wealth. Not for praise, not for attention, but for peace, for freedom, for the people you love. And that kind of wealth doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be felt. Inside your heart, inside your home, inside the life you quietly built. Chapter 10 Save Money. You don't need a reason to save. Just save. For freedom. For peace of mind. For the unknown. Saving is more important than investing well. Because it gives you options. And safety. Money saved as power stored. Chapter 10 Save Money. Most people think saving is about numbers. About budgeting. About cutting costs. About goals. And yes, that's part of it. But Morgan Housel shows us something softer. Something more human. Saving money is not just about reaching a financial target. It's about peace. It's about having options. It's about saying, I don't have to panic. Saving gives you space to breathe, to choose, to wait, to walk away if something doesn't feel right. That's power, real power, the kind that whispers, I can take care of myself. You don't need to save for a fancy car or a big vacation. You can save just to feel safe. Just to know you are okay. That your future is protected. That if life throws a storm, you have a shelter. That's what savings are. They're not just money. They're safety nets. Morgan says, the value of wealth is relative to what you need. If you don't need much, then even a small saving feels big. That's why the habit of saving matters more than the amount. It's not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. And how regularly you do it. He even says something surprising. Saving can matter more than investing. Because without savings, you never reach the point where you can invest safely. Without savings, you panic when something goes wrong. But when you've saved, you feel calm. You don't need to sell in a crisis. You don't need to beg. You don't need to run. You're rooted. You're steady. You are in control. That's what saving gives you. It's not always exciting. It's not something you can post on social media. But it's real. And it's yours. Morgan reminds us, you don't need a reason to save. You can save, just because life is unpredictable. Because the future is uncertain. And because your peace of mind is priceless. So save, even when it's small, even when no one's watching, even when it feels boring. Because every rupee you save is a gift to your future self. A message that says, I've got you. And someday, when life gets hard, you'll feel that love, you'll feel that wisdom, you'll feel safe. Chapter 11 Reasonable Greater than Rational. You don't have to be perfect. Just consistent. You don't need the best strategy. You need a strategy you can stick to. It's okay to make emotional decisions. As long as they help you sleep peacefully at night. Be reasonable, not rigid. Chapter 11 Reasonable Greater than Rational. We're taught to be logical, to be rational, to make decisions with numbers, charts, and facts. But Morgan Housel says, that's not how real life works. Because we're not robots. We're human. And humans are driven by emotion. By fear. By hope. By love. By stories from the past. So when it comes to money, we don't always make perfect choices. We make personal choices. And that's okay. That's honest. That's real. Let's take an example. A rational investor might say, statistically, you should stay invested in the market no matter what. But a reasonable person might say, I get scared during crashes. I'd rather pull back a little so I can sleep at night. Is that irrational? Maybe. But it's reasonable. It's based on who they are, on their comfort, their peace. And that matters more than cold logic. Because here's the truth. The best financial plan is the one you can stick to. Not the one that looks perfect on paper, but the one that feels safe in your heart. Housel reminds us that rationality ignores emotions. But emotions are part of the human experience. You can't erase them, and you shouldn't have to. Instead, embrace them. Let them guide you, gently, not recklessly, but kindly. Because your money journey isn't about beating others. It's about building a life you can live with. A life where you don't feel stressed all the time. Where you don't regret every decision. Where you can look at your finances and feel calm. That's the goal, not perfection, peace. So make room for emotions, for fears, for hopes, and let your financial choices reflect your truth. Because reasonable decisions are the ones that last. And lasting decisions build real wealth, quiet wealth, safe wealth, the kind that feels like home. Chapter 12 Surprise. The world changes. Unexpected things happen. Predictions often fail. The future is full of surprises. So don't be too sure. Be flexible. Be ready to adapt. Because life won't always go as planned. Chapter 12 Surprise. There's something we all forget sometimes. The future is unknown, and no matter how smart we are, no matter how much data we have, no one can perfectly predict what's coming. Morgan Housel tells us, history is not a map, it's a guide, and even then, it's filled with surprises, unexpected turns, moments no one saw coming. Look back at the world. Wars, pandemics, crashes, booms, revolutions. They all seemed obvious after they happened. But almost no one saw them before they did. That's how surprises work. They sneak up, they shake us, they change everything, and suddenly, the world isn't the same anymore. So what does this mean for you and me? Should we live in fear? Should we never plan? No, but we should stay humble. We should stay flexible, because the world is not static. It moves, it shifts, and sometimes, it surprises us. Morgan says, the most important events in history are the outliers, the black swans, the things that no one saw coming. And those events, they don't just shape history. They shape your finances, your plans, your dreams. That's why you can't build a financial life based only on what happened in the past. Because the past is safe. But the future is full of surprises. So how do we protect ourselves? We build a margin of safety. We leave space. We stay prepared. We don't bet everything. We don't assume we're always right. Because when the unexpected comes, you'll want a cushion, a backup plan, a little bit of room to breathe. And when you have that, you don't panic, you adapt, you survive, you move forward. That's how you build lasting peace. Not by trying to predict every step, but by being ready to bend without breaking. Life will always surprise you. So don't try to control every detail. Instead, build strength, build softness, build space, and walk forward with calm in your heart. Because you don't need to fear the unknown. When you've prepared your soul for change. Chapter 13 Room for Error. Always leave space for mistakes. Don't stretch too far. Build a margin of safety. Because the unexpected always comes. Prepare not just for the best, but also for the worst. That's how you survive. Chapter 13 Room for Error. We all want our plans to work, to go smoothly, to unfold exactly as we imagined. But life doesn't always listen. There are bumps, delays, setbacks, mistakes. That's not failure, that's life. And that's why Morgan Housel gives us a simple but powerful truth. Always leave room for error. Because if your plan only works when everything goes perfectly, then your plan is too weak. You need space. You need a cushion. You need a backup. That's not fear. That's wisdom. Think of it like driving. You don't ride with your car bumper kissing the one ahead of you. You leave a gap. That way, if something happens, you have time. You can react. You can protect yourself. The same goes for money, for investing, for life goals. If you stretch every rupee to the edge, if your budget depends on nothing ever going wrong, you're walking on a wire with no net. And that's dangerous. Morgan reminds us, things will go wrong, plans will change, unexpected bills will come, opportunities will vanish. So give yourself space. Save more than you need. Expect less from future returns. Give your goals breathing room. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for safe. And here's the truth that touched me most. Room for error is not wasted effort. It's the price you pay for peace of mind. It's not weakness. It's strength. It's choosing to walk slow, but walk far, to keep going, even when the road curves. You won't always guess right. You won't always be lucky. But if you've built in flexibility, you'll survive, you'll adapt, you'll grow stronger. So save more, spend less, expect surprises, plan for them, and when they arrive, you won't panic, you'll breathe, and say, I've got this, because you left room, for life, for uncertainty, and for being beautifully, perfectly human. Chapter 14 You'll change. Who you are today won't be who you are tomorrow. Your goals will change, your dreams will shift, and that's okay. Don't trap yourself in a plan that no longer fits. Adjust, evolve, give yourself permission to change. Chapter 14 You'll change. Think back to who you were 10 years ago. What you believed, what you loved, what you wanted, feels different now, doesn't it? That's because you changed. Life shaped you. You saw more, you felt more, you learned more, so naturally, you became someone new. But here's where it gets deep. Even though we've all changed in the past, we still somehow believe that who we are right now is permanent, that the dreams we have today will still matter decades from now. But Morgan Housel reminds us, you will change, your tastes, your goals, your definition of success, your version of happiness, and that's okay. That's not weakness, that's growth. So what does this mean for money? It means be careful when you lock yourself into long-term decisions based on short-term versions of yourself. Be gentle with your future self. Leave them options. Don't spend your entire youth chasing a future that your older self may not even want anymore. Don't build a life you'll one day want to escape from. Because here's the hard truth. You don't know what future you will care about. Maybe today you dream of a giant house. But 10 years from now, you may crave simplicity. Maybe today you chase promotions. But later, you may just want time with your kids. Maybe today you grind 18 hours a day. But one day, rest will feel like gold. We change, and that's beautiful. So don't trap yourself in a version of success that only makes sense today. Leave space to evolve, to pivot, to say, that used to be my dream. But now, I've found something better. Morgan says, the trick is to accept the reality of change and build flexibility into your financial life. That means save more, so you can walk away when needed. That means avoid debt, so you don't get stuck in a job you outgrow. That means live simply, so freedom is always within reach. Because wealth isn't just about what you own. It's about the ability to change your mind, to grow, to heal, to choose again and again. That, my friend, is a rich life. Chapter 15. Nothing's free. Everything has a price. Even if it's not money. Volatility is the price of returns. Uncertainty is the cost of success. Nothing comes free. So ask yourself, are you willing to pay the emotional price? If yes, then hold on. It'll be worth it. Chapter 15. Nothing's free. We all have dreams. Financial freedom, success, wealth, peace. We want comfort. We want freedom. We want the good life. And that's okay. But here's the truth Morgan Housel reminds us. Nothing is free. Everything we want comes with a price. Not always a price in money, but a price in effort, in patience, in pain, in uncertainty, in fear. There is no reward without discomfort. Let that settle. Investing has a cost. It's not just the money you put in. It's the stress, the sleepless nights during market crashes, the waiting, the temptation to sell when fear rises, the courage to stay. That's the real price. And Morgan says, that price is like an entrance fee. You can't avoid it. You have to pay it. But most people treat that price like a fine. They panic. They think they're being punished. They think something's wrong. So they run. They quit. They say, this isn't for me. But that's the mistake. Because discomfort isn't a fine. It's not punishment. It's the cost of admission to something valuable. Like waiting for years while your investments grow. Like saying no to things your heart wants now, so your future self can have more later. Like losing money sometimes, and still continuing, because you understand the deeper truth. Nothing worth having is ever truly free. So what do we do with this truth? We stop chasing easy. We stop believing the lie that success should feel smooth. We accept the emotional cost. We prepare for it, and we tell ourselves, this is the price I'm willing to pay. Because the life I'm building is worth it. That changes everything. Because when you expect pain, it doesn't break you, it builds you. You stay calm, you keep going. You don't quit when it gets hard. You understand that hard is part of the journey. So next time fear shows up, or patience feels impossible, or markets crash, or dreams feel distant, take a breath, put your hand on your heart, and whisper to yourself, this is the price, and I am willing to pay it. That, my friend, is how peace begins. Chapter 16. You and me. We all have different goals, different timelines, different needs. So copying someone else's strategy doesn't always work. Invest based on your life, not someone else's, because what works for them might hurt you. Be true to yourself. Chapter 16. You and me. Have you ever wondered, why do people make such different choices with money? Why do some save every penny, while others spend freely? Why do some take big risks, while others play it safe? Morgan Housel answers this in the softest, most human way. Because we all come from different stories, different childhoods, different struggles, different fears, different dreams. And that means we see money through different eyes. A person who grew up during a war will never look at money the same as someone raised in peace. A child who watched their parents lose everything in a crash will never take investing lightly. Someone who's never faced hardship might not understand the value of saving. And that's okay, because money is personal, it's emotional, it's shaped by our past, by what we've seen, by what we've lost, by what we're afraid to lose again. So when we judge others, or when we feel judged, we need to remember this. You are not them, and they are not you. Morgan says, people do crazy things with money. But no one's crazy, they're just reacting to their own experiences. Isn't that beautiful? You don't need to understand everyone's choices, but you can learn to respect them. Because behind every financial decision is a person, a heart, a history, and maybe some hidden pain. So if someone spends in ways that confuse you, if someone saves obsessively, if someone takes risks that feel reckless, pause. Don't judge. Ask yourself, what might they have lived through that I haven't? And if you've made choices that others don't understand, be gentle with yourself. You were doing your best with what you knew, with what you'd lived. You're not broken, you're human, and your money story is valid. So next time someone asks, why did they do that? You can answer with love. Because they're not me, and I'm not them, and that's okay. That's what makes this world so rich. Not just in wealth, but in wisdom, in empathy, in heart. Chapter 17 The Seduction of Pessimism. Negativity feels smart. It grabs attention. But progress is often slow and quiet. The world gets better, even if it doesn't feel like it. Stay hopeful. Be optimistic. Believe in growth, even when it's hard. Chapter 17 The Seduction of Pessimism. Let's be honest. Bad news feels real. It feels urgent. It grabs our attention. It shakes us. And it stays longer in our minds. But why? Why does fear hit harder than hope? Morgan Housel calls it the seduction of pessimism. Because when someone says, the economy will crash, or you are going to lose everything, we listen, we pause, we worry. But when someone says, things will get better, or just stay invested, the future is bright, it sounds soft, naive, too optimistic. Isn't that strange? Even though history shows us that over time, things do get better. Markets rise, innovation grows, people rebuild. But still, we believe fear more than progress. Why? Because loss is sudden, it's sharp, it's painful, and gain, it's slow, quiet, invisible. Loss is a punch, gain is a whisper, and our hearts are wired to respond to pain louder than peace. Morgan says, pessimism just sounds smarter. It grabs attention. It feels like someone is protecting us. But here's the danger. When we only listen to pessimism, we stop growing, we stop believing, we stop acting, we freeze, and fear becomes our cage. But the truth is, most of the time, things don't fall apart. They move forward, slowly, quietly, faithfully. History shows us this. The world has gone through wars, crashes, recessions, pandemics. But we're still here, still standing, still rising, because human beings are builders. We learn, we adapt, we heal, we create again, and again. So the next time someone says, everything is going to collapse, pause. Don't ignore them, but also don't forget, there's always more growth than destruction, more healing than harm, more resilience than ruin. Choose to believe in that, not blindly, but bravely, because the world needs hope. It needs faith. It needs hearts that say, yes, bad things happen, but we'll find a way. That, my friend, is the quiet power of optimism. Chapter 18 When You'll Believe Anything. We try to make sense of the world, even when there's no clear answer. That can lead us to believe wrong things, especially with money. So stay curious, but also cautious. Ask questions. Don't follow blindly. Chapter 18 When You'll Believe Anything. Why do we make the choices we do, even when they don't always make sense? Why do we buy what we can't afford, or invest in things we barely understand, or follow advice that clearly isn't right for us? Morgan Housel says, it's because we're storytellers. We don't just see facts. We create narratives. We give meaning to numbers. We shape them into emotions. And then, we believe them. He reminds us, we are not guided by logic. We are guided by what feels true. That's why money is never just about money. It's about security, or freedom, or proving something, or healing something. It's personal, it's emotional, it's deep. So when someone tells themselves, I need a big house to feel successful, or, if I just earn more, I'll finally be respected, or, only rich people are happy, they're not chasing money, they're chasing a feeling, they're chasing a story, a belief, even if it's not real, even if it hurts them, even if it keeps them stuck. Morgan says, everyone has an incomplete view of the world, but we fill in the blanks with stories that make us feel better. And here's the hard part. We rarely stop to question those stories. We live them, we repeat them, we protect them, because they're comfortable, even when they're untrue. So what do? We get curious. We ask, where did this belief come from? Is this story helping me, or holding me back? We give ourselves permission to rewrite, to grow, to heal, because beliefs aren't permanent, they're built, and anything that's built can be rebuilt. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to question. You are allowed to say, that used to be my truth. But not anymore. That's power. That's freedom. That's wisdom. So next time you make a decision with money, pause. Don't just look at the numbers. Look at the story behind them. Ask your heart, what am I really chasing here? And if the answer feels peaceful, if it feels honest, then you found something rare. You found your truth. Chapter 19 all together now. We talked about a lot. Saving, investing, freedom, time, risk, luck, and humility. The point is simple. Managing money is not about brilliance. It's about behavior. Chapter 20 Confessions. Morgan ends with a personal note. He's not perfect. He's made mistakes too. He reminds us, you don't have to be an expert. You just have to care, and learn, and grow, one step at a time. Outro. So, my friend, money isn't just numbers. It's emotions. It's choices. It's behavior. This book teaches us to respect money. But even more, to respect ourselves. Be kind to your future self. Save a little. Spend wisely. Stay humble. Be patient. And remember, real wealth is peace. And peace starts from within. The real wealth. And now, my friend, we've reached the end. But also, the beginning. Because The Psychology of Money was never just a book about finance. It was a mirror, a gentle hand on your shoulder, a quiet voice saying, you don't have to be perfect with money. You just have to be honest. You've learned that wealth is not what you see. It's what you don't spend. That freedom matters more than luxury. That saving is an act of love. That no dream comes free. But peace is worth the price. That we all see money differently. Because we've all lived different lives. And most of all, you've learned to be kind. To yourself, to your past, and to your future. So wherever you go from here, take this wisdom with you. Not in your pocket, but in your heart. Because true wealth isn't found in your bank balance. It's found in your breath. In your peace. In your ability to say, I have enough. And I am enough. Thank you for walking this journey with me. You've done something beautiful. And I'm so proud of you.